Hi everybody, it's Denise again with my Scrappy Place, and I'm back for another couple of Halloween cards. As promised last week, when I made the cards from well, it wasn't cards, it was projects from our paper pumpkin for September, the Frights and Delights, the little treat bags. You may remember this from last week. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough going on this morning. It's definitely fall here in Oklahoma. So I'm going to I'll try not to sniffle too much, cough, but anyway, we're just going to go for it. But anyway, last week I got terrible glare again. I showed you the paper pumpkin for September, and these were the treat bags that were the kit. And you may remember me telling you, I don't have little kids anymore. I don't have any grandkids, so I really couldn't see myself making 24 of these treat bags. So I was going to do some different things with them. Well, this is another card that I have come up with, or another couple of cards, basically using the same design, just mixing it up a little bit as far as what we got going on here. And I have a third one that I'm going to make, showing you how to do it. Now on this one, this is using the ghost in the kit, and all I did, and I also took for this one, for the background on this one, I used one of my new pretty much favorite stamp sets, and that's the Buffalo Check, because you can excuse me again, you can do so much with this particular stamp set. Like I said, it's one big red rubber stamp. You just mount it on the biggest block, and actually, to be perfectly honest with you, I didn't even mount it on a stamp set or on a block. I just took this out of the case, laid it on my table here, inked it up like I've shown you before, and did it that way. So you don't even really, for these big ones, have to have a block. You could even, and a matter of fact, when in the future, when I buy these big background stamps, you can buy them so that they come to where you can permanently mount them on a wood block, and I might actually do that. I don't know. I haven't decided. I know you really probably don't care what I do, but these just store easier for me because they're nice. The cases are nice and thin, and they fit on my bookcase really well. And if you notice here, if you store your stamps in a bookcase like I do, the design is on the spine of it, so you can kind of go through. If you can't remember the name of what's this stamp set, you can look at the bottom and you can get a really small picture of what's in the stamp set. So there's another reason that I really love our stamps. So for this one, like I said, I used Highland Heather for the smaller piece, and I stamped it in Highland Heather. I used the Gorgeous Grape for the background. I took our layering circles, and I talked about this in another video, and I couldn't find them earlier, and that's because I had it ready for this card. But this is what our layering circles framelits look like. I am actually missing one. We had a stamp event in the springtime, and my middle circle walked off, and I never got it back, and I just haven't replaced the framelit set yet. But as you can see, there's 8 regular circles when the set is complete, and then there are 8 scalloped the framelits. So I took and I used this scallop framelit to put on the back of this, if you can see that. And I used a different set of framelits. Let me get this really up close to the camera here. Can you see how this has a stitching around the edge of it? See that? This is like my favorite framelit set, and it is called the stitched. Oh my goodness, I can't remember what it's called. The stitched. Let me look in the catalog here. It's my favorite, but I can't remember what it's called. When you put the camera on, if you've never done videos or you've never gotten up and spoken in front of a group, your brain automatically just stops working as soon as you hit play, or as soon as you hit record. The Stitched Shapes framelits. Okay, there we go. Stitched Shapes framelits. There's ovals, and there's squares, and there's circles. And what I did with this one is I used the second largest one of that and run it through my Big Shot. You've heard me talk about the Big Shot before. I don't ever drag it out because I already have shaking problems on the table. Every time I do videos, it looks like we're having an earthquake here in Oklahoma. And although we do have earthquakes in Oklahoma, I promise that is not the case with my videos. I get a little too rambunctious, and my camera setup is on my table until we get our new house built and my new studio built. Anyway, so that's how I did all of the circles on all of the cards. This one, I will tell you, I did use some contraband on this one. If you can see in the background, this has got a spiderweb embossing. I used an embossing folder, and it is not Stampin' Up, I will tell you that. So this is another thing to tell you, to admit, confession time with Denise. I have a lot of stuff in my stamp room, my scrap room, my craft room. My family calls it my crap room. If you could see it, you would agree. But anyway, I have a lot of stuff that is not Stampin' Up, even though I am a Stampin' Up demonstrator, and I love Stampin' Up products, and I really hope that you do too, and I hope you purchase from me. The link is in the bottom down here. But anyway, you can make this kind of stuff, and it doesn't have to all be Stampin' Up. Now, I know fellow demonstrators would cringe if they're sitting here watching this video saying, Denise, what are you doing? I want to be real. I want to get real. I know not everybody has everything in the Stampin' Up catalog. I don't even have everything. I have a lot, but I don't have everything. But I just want to show you that you can make really cute cards regardless of if it's Stampin' Up or not. I'm hoping just to give you some ideas, and you can run with it from there. So there's my soapbox, and there is my confessional. This is embossed with a non-Stampin' Up spiderweb embossing folder. I did it on pumpkin pie. That is Stampin' Up. My layering is Mango Melody. I did use Granny Apple Green for the scallop circle on the back of the pumpkin, and this is the Mango Melody. And I'll show you a little trick when you're cutting these out so that you don't waste too much paper. The sticker is from the kit, the Boo kit, and then the pumpkin, of course, has got the shiny face, and he was from the kit. And I just took a little bit of baker's twine and tied a little bow, put on his head, and some Granny Apple Green ribbon. This is our, let's see, shimmer. Nope, that's the wrong one. What did I do with it? Shimmer ribbon I used on this one. This is the textured weave ribbon in the coordinating Granny Apple Green. And like I said, with all of our papers, our inks, our stamp sets, our markers, they all coordinate with our DSP. You can find, and if you don't know what DSP is, that is designer series paper, hence the DSP. It all coordinates, so you don't have to worry about, is this green going to match this green? Does that match that green? It's going to match. So that's what I used for the pumpkin card. The ghost card, I did use the shimmer ribbon, and we'll get a little bit more into detail on that here in a few minutes. So let's go ahead and really quickly, I'll show you how to make the next card in my alternative series. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make one with the bat this time. And so what I have already done, I've done a little bit of prepping in advance. And I've got my card base laid out here. And what I did, basic, your basic card, what I've gotten here. And then I don't have any gray granite, but normally I would use gray granite. This is basic gray for the card base, and this is smoky slate for my layering. And if you notice, I've got a circle cut out of here. What I did before I layered this piece of paper onto my card base is I took my circle that I told you about earlier, and I laid it on that piece of cardstock. Of course, you're going to have to pretend, use your imagination here, that this light gray is not connected to this dark gray at this point. I cut that circle right out of the middle of this lighter piece so that I would not have to waste, and I could get this lighter piece. So that's my second little tip of the day for you, is cut out of the circle, especially if you're going to layer something on top of it, which I am. So I'm going to take another piece, and so you can't even tell that I cut the circle out. Okay, so this piece here is another piece of basic gray, and what I did on this one, can you see the, I know I'm kind of out of shot, but I want you to be able to see the texture. I did run this through an embossing folder. This one actually is our embossing folder from Stampin' Up. See, there's the logo. I promise it's not contraband. And there's that light that's giving me so much trouble with all the glare. And this one is called the Woodland. And all you do with this, again, I am sorry, guys. I got something caught in my gizzard, and it's causing me some grief this morning. Take your piece of paper. This one is cut at, this one's at 5 by 3 3/4. I will leave all the measurements in a link down below to my blog. It's too much trouble to put all the dimensions of everything in the description of this video, so that's why I leave the link to my blog, and that's why I always say go to my blog. If you're interested in making the cards, it gives you all the dimensions and everything I used for each card. But anyway, you take your piece of paper, you just sandwich it through in here like so. You make your big shot sandwich, and I'll have another video on talking about big shot sandwiches and what you do with that. And then you just crank it through, pop it open, and then this is what you end up with. And this one is like, it's really cool background with looks like in the woods. So what I'm going to do there, and I'm actually going to jazz it up just a little bit, because if you remember, this paper pumpkin kit actually came with a stamp set. So I took the little bat out of here. And let's find my ink in this mess. And I've already mounted my bat. And I am going to ink up my bat. And we're winging it here. And I'm going to stamp a bat in the background back there. In the trees. Can you see? Let me zoom in just a little bit. Okay. And I'm going to do another one up here. And keep in mind that my circle is going to go right about there. I happen to think that things look better in odd numbers, so I'm going to do another one right about there. That looks good. Okay. I have to think about this for a minute because I don't remember exactly what I was going to do on this one. Alright, so I'm going to take my my stamped image that I just did. I'm going to flip it over. I am going to find my glue. Where is my glue? My glue is hiding. Here's another quick tip for you. You know that I like to use my liquid glue, and sometimes it's easier. I have found I store my glue in a little jar upside down. These particular glues have 2 different tips on them. This is the side that I tend to use the most of. It's got the little fine tip glue. It's not super fine tip, but it's pretty fine. And it's also got a bigger applicator end. And honestly, I don't hardly ever use this side. I could. So I keep my glue stored upside down in a little mason jar so that it's easy. Number one, it's at hand. I still tend to lose it. But that way the glue is already down on the tip where I'm not having to sit and shake it like I always do, and then thereby shake my camera and cause the earthquake kind of thing. Anyway, there's my second tip for the day. Alright, I'm going to take my card and I am going to put some glue on it. And I would recommend doing this rather than like a tape runner, because this is embossed. And so if you run your tape runner, if you get a little too rambunctious with it, you can flatten out your embossing, and you don't want to do that. Okay, let's get this back in shot here. We're going to line it up so that there's just a little bit of an edge. Let me zoom back out a little bit. There we go. There's a little bit of an edge all the way around. Okay. Okay, and the next thing I'm going to do is we need to, am I going to stamp? I don't know that I'm going to stamp this time, but this kit also came with some bats cutouts, if you remember. So I'm going to use one of the bats on this one. And it also came with some word stickers. And for this one, you can see I haven't used the eek at all. So I think I'm going to use this one. For my bat, I'm going to put a dimensional on. And in an earlier video, I showed you my little secret for using up your dimensionals, because when they come to you, they're going to come in a sheet like this, but of course there's not going to be any picked off. I've already started picking off of this one. But then once you've picked off the little hexagons, you're left with a rim of perfectly good dimensionals. I'm just saying. So I just took my scissors and cut all the way around it so that I had little pieces and I don't waste any of it. So I am going to just put a dimensional on the back of my little bat. And I just had an idea. I think I had a brainstorm. So I'm going to stick him right on that circle, just like that. And let me get my, let's see if this will work. They might be too big, I don't know, but I kind of think he needs eyeballs. And what bat doesn't need red eyeballs, right? At least that's my opinion. So what I've got here are my red faceted gems. They are in the holiday catalog. So let me pick off a couple and stick on his little stuck on my fingernail. Oh goodness. Okay, it's still early and I still need coffee. Alright. I don't know. I like his little eyeballs. There we go. What do you guys think? I think he needs eyeballs. That makes him even spookier. Alright, so let's get these out of the way. I am going to take my sticker that says eek on it, and I'm going to put that right across the bottom of my circle. If I can get it where I want it. There we go. And then I am going to take a little bit of my shimmer ribbon. I spoke about this just a minute ago. And this ribbon, it's like a satin ribbon. But can you see? It's got like glimmer in it. It's not glitter. It doesn't come off. But it's just got a sparkly, like silvery threads woven into the ribbon, and it's really cool because we do have some organza that has glitter in it, and I haven't gotten any. But anyway, enough about that. The way I'm going to do this to make it stick is I'm going to take my fast fuse. Now this was still in the clearance rack. I don't know if it's still available, but I'm using it, and I'm putting a couple of strips just right in the middle of my card. And I don't know how long of a piece of ribbon I want, but I want it to just kind of go right here. This is my trick to putting ribbon on and not having it too terribly bulky. And fold it over and put put it right about there. Let me move this end out so that you can see it a little bit better. And I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to snip it off at an angle. That wasn't a very good angle, but let's try that again. Try not to cut myself either, and trying to do it on camera. There we go. Alright, that just gives it a little something extra. I'm going to take my circle, take my scraps of dimensionals that I don't want to waste, and load that up on the back here. Stick this down, and there we go. There is another card made from that same kit from our paper pumpkin. So this just goes to show you that just because you don't necessarily have a use for what they send you, you still can make some really cute cards. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Like I said, now you can kind of see the mess that's going on around here. Let's zoom back in a little bit. Alright, so there are the 3 cards that I made. And something else I also did is I revamped the actual treat bags that I made from the kit. Using the bag, I filled this up with some M&Ms. It has a little bottom, the little cardboard bottom where it still will sit up. But then I took and I did the toppers or the attachments just like I did on these cards. Now, again, I think he needs eyeballs. Um, but yeah, I just took my basic black, made a scallop circle, put a basic gray, used a spooky, and then stamped treats for you. Tied it with a little bit of the baker's twine that came in the kit. And there's a little treat bag that I might be able to give to some of my coworkers. So yeah, you could totally still make treat bags, and if you didn't like the design that they came up with, this is another option. So again, Paper Pumpkin, I'm going to put the link in the description here. If you subscribe before October the 10th, you will get the kit that comes out for in October, and it will be for November. And my guess is probably, like I said earlier, a Thanksgiving or a fall themed. It could even be a Christmas themed one. I don't know. We just don't know what we're going to get until we get it. So yeah, 3 more cards, same basic design, different colors, a little bit of different ideas. Just goes to show that you can do just about anything with a Paper Pumpkin kit. So give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, share my video, tell your friends about me. Like I said, I'm trying to get my subscribers up a little bit, and I would love for you to shop with me in my store. That's also going to be the link. And I really appreciate you coming in and seeing me today. Thanks for spending some time. Talk to you later. Bye.